Make sure you don't show up at the airport, my mom said. It's a family vacation, not charity. My brother smirked. Don't worry, she can watch our posts. Trembling, I nodded. That night I canceled everything. The next morning my phone lit up with missed calls. They were screaming. We were meeting for dinner the night before the trip to go over last-minute details. That was the plan anyway. I thought it would be a normal evening, confirm the check-in times, maybe talk about what to pack. I didn't know I'd walk out of that house completely gutted, or that I'd cry all the way home. I didn't know that by the next morning, I'd lose $11,000 and whatever trust one had left in my family. Italy had been my dream for years. I'd been saving ideas in folders, planning routes between cities, figuring out how to avoid tourist traps without missing the good stuff. When my mom mentioned wanting to go on a big family trip, I offered Italy. Everyone loved the idea, but no one wanted to deal with the hassle of organizing it. So I did it all, the flights, hotels, tours, everything. I paid for it too. $14,000 in total, all on my card. The agreement was that they'd pay me back over the next few months. No one questioned that part. When I got to their house, Ryan was already there, sitting at the table like he owned it. My parents were acting cheerful, like nothing unusual was about to happen. My mom had made her usual pasta dinner. Some fake tradition she started a few years ago where we eat carbs before long trips, even though we were flying business class and didn't exactly need the energy. Everything seemed fine until we moved to the dining room for coffee and dessert. That's when my mom folded her hands and looked right at me. Make sure you don't show up at the airport tomorrow. I blinked. What? She said it again without flinching. This is a family vacation, not charity. I laughed nervously, thinking I misunderstood. But no one else was laughing. Ryan, still scrolling on his phone, chimed in. Don't worry, she can watch our posts. There was a long pause. I just stared at them, waiting for the punchline. Then my dad said it. The thing that turned everything from painful to revolting. You should focus on finding a man first. Traveling like this, it's not really appropriate for a woman your age to be tagging along with her parents. My mom nodded. We thought this might be a good chance for you to reflect. You need to build your own life, Susan. We're just helping you grow up. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. But I didn't. I just stood up, said okay, and left. I drove home, walked inside, and sat at my desk. I opened my laptop, pulled up every confirmation email, and canceled everything. Flights, hotels, tours, transfers. Some things were non-refundable. Most gave me partial refunds. I didn't care. I accepted the loss without blinking. By the time I was done, I'd lost over $11,000. I closed the laptop and sat there in the dark. I didn't even cry until I got into bed. The next morning I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. 23 missed calls. My mom, my dad, Ryan. Unknown numbers. Airport. Tour agencies. They had shown up at the airport. And there was nothing waiting for them. I didn't answer a single call that morning. I just lay in bed, eyes open, phone face down beside me, letting it buzz itself to death. I wasn't curious. I knew what was happening. I knew what I'd done. I knew exactly where they were and what they were realizing, probably at the same time. They were standing at the airline counter trying to check into flights that no longer existed. They were refreshing apps that were now blank. No seat assignments. No hotel addresses. No tour codes. No vacation. Just a wall of silence and confusion. Then anger. Then panic. And I wasn't answering. Around noon I finally got out of bed. I wasn't hungry, but I made coffee just to have something hot to hold. I didn't cry. I just sat there at the kitchen table watching the sunlight crawl across the floor. The phone stayed off until 4 p.m. When I plugged it in, the flood hit. Missed calls, voicemails, texts. My mom had written me something so long it got split into 3 messages. She said I'd humiliated them. That they were stranded in public like fools. That I'd disrespected the family and ruined what was supposed to be a sacred trip. She called me a foolish daughter. Said I should be ashamed. Said it was a blessing they had Ryan, someone who actually cared about the family's reputation. Then came my dad. He was less emotional and somehow worse. He wrote that he didn't raise me to be vindictive. That if I wanted to be taken seriously as an adult, this wasn't how to do it. That I'd embarrass them in front of real families. Not even a single sentence about the money I spent. Or the fact that I'd planned all of it. But then there was Ryan. 1 text, no punctuation. What the hell happened? That was it. I ignored them all. The next day I got out of the house. I didn't want to run into them, didn't want to see their names pop up anywhere, didn't want to explain anything to anyone. I took my laptop and drove to a cafe on the other side of town. I thought I'd feel satisfied. I didn't. I thought I'd feel powerful. I didn't. Around 3 p.m. Ryan showed up at my place. I'd forgotten I had shared my location with him ages ago, during some dumb group chat thing we were doing for a different trip. He must have checked it. I didn't want to open the door. I stood behind it for a good minute before finally letting him in. He looked awful. Like he hadn't slept. He didn't try to hug me or act like nothing happened. He just sat down and said he was sorry. He admitted it, they'd planned it without me. Weeks ago. My parents thought it would be better if I stayed back. They told him I was on board with the decision. I laughed. He didn't. He said he genuinely thought I knew. That's why he made the post comment. The "she can watch our posts" thing. He thought I had agreed to not come. I asked him if he really believed I would bow out of a trip I built from scratch, paid for, spent months planning. He didn't answer. He told me the airport was chaos. Our mom cried. Our dad yelled at the airline staff, demanding to speak to someone with authority. Ryan said he stood there watching it all happen, realizing slowly with growing dread that they were never supposed to go without me. That the bookings had always been in my name. That they'd made a massive mistake. And that I'd actually gone through with canceling it all. He apologized again. Said he didn't want to defend them. He just didn't realize how bad it really was until he was watching them unravel in front of strangers. We talked for 2 hours. And when he left, I actually felt a little lighter. I thought maybe, just maybe, I wasn't entirely alone in this. The next morning, I woke up to an alert on my phone from the bank. $5,000 withdrawn. I sat up so fast I got dizzy. Opened the app. Saw the transfer. To my dad. My stomach dropped. I'd completely forgotten they still had access to one of my accounts. A joint one I'd opened in college just for emergencies. I hadn't thought about it in years. They knew I'd canceled the trip. They knew how much I'd lost. And they took $5,000 anyway. No warning. No explanation. They didn't just cut me out. Now they were robbing me. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just went numb. I stood in the kitchen for a long time, phone in my hand, staring at the $5,000 transfer on the screen like if I looked long enough it might undo itself. But it was real. It was clean, direct, deliberate. A digital slap across the face. They knew. They absolutely knew. They'd already sent those texts, called me names, painted me as unstable and vindictive. They knew how much I'd spent on that trip. They knew I'd already eaten a massive loss. And they still went into that old college account and took what was left. Not because they needed it. Because they felt entitled to it. Because in their heads they'd been wronged. I didn't call the bank. I could have, maybe even should have. But they were still on the account. My mistake. One I thought I'd fixed, but apparently I never submitted the full removal form. I'd opened it in college so they could help me out if anything happened, and now they were using it to bleed me dry. Around 1 p.m. I got a text from Ryan. Are you home? I didn't answer. I was halfway through typing "not now" when the doorbell rang. I froze. Looked through the peephole. He was standing there. And not alone. Behind him were my parents. My mom had her hair done and was holding some navy blue zippered document folder. My dad looked like he hadn't slept. Pale, stiff, his arms crossed tight. I didn't open the door right away. My first instinct was to lock it, maybe pretend I wasn't home. But Ryan raised his hand like he knew I was watching and mouthed, "Please." I opened it. Fully. They looked like they were standing in a courtroom, not on my front step. No one said anything for a few seconds. Then Ryan stepped forward, not looking back at them. "Can we come in?" I didn't answer. I just moved aside. We all sat in the living room. My parents on the edge of the couch, awkward like guests in someone else's house. Ryan stood by the window. He told me what happened after he left my place the day before. Said he got home and confronted them, but not the way he usually did. He went off. Full-blown meltdown. Shouted loud enough that the neighbors on both sides came out. Told them everything I'd told him. About the money, the planning, the cancellations, the hours I put into the trip. And how I hadn't even tried to get the $6,000 refunded because I just wanted to forget it existed. He told them what kind of people they really were. That they'd thrown me out of a vacation I paid for, then robbed me on top of it. And that if they didn't make it right he would, publicly. He'd already started making calls to extended family. He even said the word theft. Loud. He said that's when everything cracked. Our mom apparently completely fell apart. Not like at the airport. This time it wasn't about embarrassment. This time it was guilt. Real heavy panicked guilt. My dad didn't say much during the fight, but when Ryan told him he was considering reporting the withdrawal to the bank and calling it unauthorized, even if it meant a legal mess, that got his attention. They panicked. Not just because of what they did, but because someone finally held up a mirror. My mom opened the folder on her lap and pulled out an envelope. Set it gently on my coffee table. Inside was a check, $11,000. Then another envelope, $5,000. And then a third, $6,000. Apparently the amount they'd been able to recover from some of the hotels and tour companies. Ryan had forced them to make the calls. I didn't say anything. I didn't ask questions. I just stared at the checks like I didn't know what they were. My mom tried to talk. Something about how things had gotten out of hand, how she never meant to hurt me, how they thought they were helping me grow. I didn't respond. My dad stayed quiet the whole time, eyes on the floor. They left after a few more awkward, strained minutes. Ryan stayed behind. We didn't talk about what had just happened. He just sat on the couch, flipping through channels like he used to when we were kids, when nothing was this complicated. After a while, he said he'd been thinking that maybe we should still go on a trip. Not Italy, that was tainted now, but somewhere better. Something I didn't have to plan. Something I didn't have to pay for. He'd take care of everything this time. And he meant it. I didn't say yes. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't say no either. A few days passed. I didn't cash the checks right away. I kept them in a drawer beneath a stack of old receipts and expired coupons, as if hiding them might delay the part where I had to decide what any of it meant. I wasn't sure if taking the money made me weak, or if refusing it would make me bitter forever. Probably both. Ryan texted every day. Sometimes just memes or random updates like he was trying to ease me back into normal. It helped a little. He didn't bring up the trip again, not directly, but he sent a few links to vacation spots. A cabin in Montana, a quiet lake in Vermont, then a luxury spa in Sedona. All in my name, all with the same message. Zero effort required. Just say the word. It was sweet. I could tell he was trying. Then one morning, about a week after the blow-up, he showed up at my door again, unannounced. He had a laptop under his arm and a weird grin on his face. Before I could ask, he walked in, sat at the table, and pulled up an email confirmation. Flights. Transportation. He had booked everything. 2 tickets to Kauai. 5 days. Oceanfront suite. Massage packages. A helicopter tour over the cliffs. Even a private dinner reservation at some restaurant I'd never heard of. I started to smile. Then I saw the dates. The trip started tomorrow. I blinked at him. He shrugged. Said he wanted to surprise me. Said he already cleared it with my job. Apparently, he'd called my manager pretending to be my assistant, and said I needed a last-minute mental health break. Somehow they agreed. I should have been mad, but instead I just laughed. Probably the first real laugh in weeks. We left the next morning. The flight was smooth. The island was ridiculous. Perfect skies, no humidity, water like glass. The hotel even left us little welcome cards that said, Mr. and Ms. Anderson, which made us both crack up for a solid 5 minutes. The first 2 days were perfect. We didn't talk about our parents. We didn't talk about the money. Just snorkeling, drinks, and sleep. But on day 3, something weird happened. We were at breakfast on the patio when Ryan got a call from my dad. He stepped away to take it, and I watched his face go from relaxed to something else. He didn't speak much, just nodded, eyes fixed on the horizon. When he came back, he looked off. I asked him what happened. He hesitated. Then he said, "They replaced you." I thought he meant it metaphorically, like they'd started talking about me like I was dead or something. But no. It was literal. My parents had gone on another trip. Back to Italy. And they didn't go alone. They took Madison, my cousin. She's 22, always been the sweet one, the peacemaker. She's studying communications and posts pastel-colored Instagram stories with inspirational quotes and iced lattes. She also still lives at home and calls my mom her second mom. Apparently, they offered her the experience of a lifetime, since I couldn't handle it. Ryan had seen a picture. My mom posted it to Facebook with a caption that made my stomach drop. Sometimes the right daughter isn't the one you raised, it's the one who shows up. That was the line. That exact line. I didn't even get angry. I just felt this strange cold clarity, like something had snapped into place. I wasn't part of their story anymore. I spent the rest of the day going through their posts. The same itinerary, the same hotels, even some of the same outfits. My mom was wearing the dress she had picked out for our dinner in Florence, the one I'd helped her shop for. They'd simply cut me out of the picture and pasted someone else in. That night, Ryan knocked on my door. We had separate rooms. He didn't say anything at first, just sat on the edge of my bed. Then he said, "This isn't your fault." I told him I knew that. But I didn't. Not really. Not yet. Coming home after Hawaii felt strange. The trip had been beautiful, calm, quiet. Exactly what I should have felt during the vacation I originally planned. But instead of feeling rested, I felt detached. Like I'd just watched a version of my life from a distance with someone else playing me. The moment we touched down, the noise returned. I turned my phone on and saw 3 new photos my mom had posted. Madison in front of the Trevi fountain, the caption underneath saying, "A real daughter knows when to step up." She was doubling down. I don't even think it was about me anymore. I think she just liked the narrative. I was the difficult one. The dramatic one. Madison was soft, smiling, camera-ready. I guess they preferred the version of me that wasn't really me at all. I said nothing to them. No replies, no passive-aggressive posts, no message sent in return. It was the first time in my life I let silence speak for me. 2 days later, Ryan texted and asked if I'd come to his place for dinner. Just us. He said he had something important to tell me, something that couldn't wait. I didn't ask questions. I just drove over, assuming it was going to be about our parents. Maybe something new they'd done, maybe a final decision from him about whether he'd keep living in that house or move out. He'd been quieter since we got back. Not distant, just thoughtful. Like something had settled in his mind. When I walked in, I saw takeout on the table. Thai, our favorite. Candles even, which he only lit when he was trying to soften bad news. I sat down and waited. He pulled out his phone and slid it across the table. Open that. It was a confirmation email. I clicked. 4 plane tickets. Round trip. Business class. Departing from my city. I scanned the names. Ours and our parents. What is this? They're going on a trip, he said. One they're paying for. One that I booked. And you're going too. I didn't say anything. I just kept reading. The destination. Big Sur. A full week. Oceanfront resort. Separate suites. Spa packages. Everything covered. Dinner reservations. Private hiking guides. You said you didn't want anything from them, Ryan said. I respected that. But I wanted them to see it. Happy, calm, unbothered. I wanted them to sit across from you and realize they didn't break you. Still, I didn't understand why they would agree to that. Then he told me. They didn't volunteer. I made them. Turns out, after we got back, he met with them. Told them I hadn't touched their checks. That I hadn't even cashed the $6,000 from the refunds. He said I didn't want their money, just respect. They laughed. Apparently my dad called that emotional extortion. So Ryan pushed harder. He hinted at lawyers. At taking legal steps over the unauthorized $5,000 transfer. To making it messy in public. But what really broke them wasn't that. It was when he told them something they didn't expect. He told them he was done. That if they didn't make it right, not just financially but publicly, he'd walk away. That Madison could be their daughter and he'd vanish. And just like that, they caved. He got $12,000 out of them. He showed me the bank transfer. Said half of it covered the trip. The other half was mine, untouched. And then he said the most unexpected thing of all. I told them they don't get to rewrite you. He didn't want revenge. Not exactly. He wanted them to sit next to me at dinner in a beautiful place and feel small. Not because I made them, but because they chose to see me that way and were wrong. He said, I don't want you to yell. I don't want you to prove anything. I just want you to exist there. That's enough. I sat with it for a while. The idea of spending a week with them after everything, it felt toxic. But the idea of sitting at a long, elegant table dressed in something beautiful, laughing at a joke Ryan made while they struggled to keep up, that felt different. I asked him why he cared so much. Why he was going this far. He looked at me like I was asking the wrong question. Because when they cut you out, he said, they lost the best person in that family. And I'm not going to pretend they didn't. So I agreed. We were going on vacation. All 4 of us. But this time I wasn't going to be the one crying on the way home. The airport drop-off was the first test. Ryan picked them up and brought them to my house. Not theirs, mine, because the car was leaving from here and he insisted on it. They stood in my hallway like strangers, quiet, taking in how much they didn't know about my life. My mom glanced around and complimented the color of my curtains. My dad asked if the air conditioning was new. I didn't answer either of them. The car arrived on time. Black SUV, leather seats, cold water bottles lined up in the doors. My dad sat up front, Ryan and my mom in the back. I sat in the back row alone, eyes on the road, headphones in, pretending I couldn't hear anything. The flight was awkward in that slow, quiet way you can only feel with people you used to trust. My mom tried to make conversation 3 times. Twice about TV shows I never watched, once about a funny thing Madison had posted. I gave her silence. My dad didn't try. He read a financial magazine the entire flight without flipping a single page. Ryan sat between us again. I could tell he was watching both sides, ready to jump in if anything went sideways. The resort was even more beautiful than the photos. Built into the cliffs of Big Sur, with glass walls in every room that overlooked the ocean. The sound of waves crashing against rock was constant, inescapable. It made everything feel dramatic, like even the air knew something heavy was happening here. We checked in, each got our key cards and were shown to our suites. Mine was separate from theirs. Ryan had made sure of it. The first evening we had dinner at a Michelin-starred restaurant right there at the resort. The kind of place that brings you a hot towel before the water. I wore the dress I'd bought months ago for Italy, the one that had sat in my closet with the tags still on. I looked good. I knew it. My mom stared for a second too long when I walked in but said nothing. My dad stood when I approached the table, barely meeting my eyes. Ryan pulled my chair out like it was a ceremony. He ordered us wine. Made jokes. Talked to the waiter like we came here all the time. If he hadn't been there, I might have stood up and walked out before the appetizer. The food was perfect. The company wasn't. They asked questions like we were strangers catching up for the first time in years. How's work? Still doing that remote thing? Met anyone lately? I answered only what Ryan didn't cover. I never asked them a thing. On day 2 we took a guided hike through the cliffs. My dad kept stopping every 10 minutes to check his heart rate. My mom wore the wrong shoes and kept pretending she wasn't in pain. Ryan walked with me a few feet ahead, asking about books, movies, anything but family. That night I caught her watching me again. My mom. We were sitting around the outdoor fire pit at the edge of the resort, each holding a drink. She had a cocktail she wasn't drinking. My dad was nursing a whiskey. Ryan had already gone back to his room. I was about to leave too, but then she said it. You really aren't going to say anything, are you? I didn't turn my head. He kept going. I've apologized. I brought the money. We came here. You don't think that means something? I looked at her then. You brought money after you took money. She didn't like that. You're being cold. And you replaced me with a cousin. She blinked, then shook her head like that wasn't fair. Like I'd misunderstood everything. But she didn't correct me. You were always so emotional, Susan, she said. You don't know how exhausting that can be for other people. And that was it. That was all she had left. Her final explanation. I stood up and walked away. I didn't look back. Day 3 my dad didn't come to breakfast. My mom barely spoke. Ryan acted normal, but I could tell he was on edge. He kept checking his phone, probably waiting for something else to go wrong. But nothing dramatic happened. It was just a quiet collapse. On the final night we ate together again. I wore the same dress. My mom came down late and didn't say a word the entire meal. My dad made one comment about the scallops being overcooked, even though they weren't. Ryan told a story about something from his job. Something light, harmless. And for a moment it almost felt like a family dinner. Almost. When we got back I cashed the checks the next morning. All of them. Every penny. I blocked their numbers that night. Not out of anger. Not out of spite. Because it was over. They had made their decision the night of that dinner. To cut me out, to humiliate me, to choose control over connection. And this trip didn't undo that. It only proved how deep the damage went. Now they could sit in their house with their new daughter and their old story. They could talk about how dramatic I was. How sensitive. How hard it was to raise someone like me. Let them. I'm not theirs anymore. Ryan still visits. He shows up twice a week, sometimes more. He brings takeout, new books, movie downloads. He sits on the couch like he's always lived here. And he never talks about them anymore. Neither do I. Sometimes, when Ryan's here and the house is quiet, I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't canceled that trip. If I'd swallowed my pride and let them walk all over me one more time. I probably would have stood beside them in Italy, smiling for photos, pretending nothing was broken while bleeding on the inside. Now the silence is honest. The peace is real. And for the first time in my life, I'm not waiting for an apology that will never come.